Hello, welcome back to our discussion of beginning HTML. We'll start getting to HTML proper. Make sure that you've set up VS Code, NPM, and Light Server as we did in our earlier introductory videos. So our textbook is from the Mozilla Developer Network explicitly. So you can do a search for MDN Introduction to HTML and see essentially the source of these of my lectures and additional reading. It's the authoritative source on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so we'll use it a lot. Front-end developers use MDN as their source material, so it's good to start reading that. So what is HTML? HTML is hypertext markup language. It's not a full-up programming language. It's a markup language that structures the web page. So HTML consists of a series of elements, and those elements are marked up with tags. It's a tag language. So here's the element. So the entire element on the view to the right here, the graphic to the right, which I got from the MDN network, the element itself is the entire thing. Opening tag here is a paragraph tag, and the closing tag is here. And notice that the closing tag is made up with a forward slash, that is a slash that rises from the left to the right, a forward slash, which is a slash that's right next to the shift key, the right shift key. And that makes up the closing tag, begin tag, closing tag. And then in between those tags is the content. So those are essentially, that's our element. The element is the entire thing. The tag is the begin tag, and the closing tag and the content is what's in the middle. A lot of times element and tag are treated as synonyms. That is my HTML element or my HTML tag. But that's a little inexact, but that's the way people talk about it. Okay. For the next, we're going to show an actual HTML page and how it renders in the browser. So I have my Visual Studio Code over here on the right-hand side here. I have an unsaved file. Notice instead of having an X here, it has a dot. That means it's an unsaved file. I'll hit Control S. Let me run Karnak real quickly. Karnak is a keyboard visualization software, so you can see over in the left or lower left here that when I hit a control key, that'll pop up there. That's what Karnak does. Now I have a saved. Now I'll have a saved file. Control S. You can see this file is now saved. Recall that I can do npm start, and we've wired that to be start the Light server, and that will launch in a browser our page. And of course, no contact here. I'll create some string here. Notice no tags whatsoever. Browser, and when they're rendering HTML, that is their job when they get an HTML page, is to turn it into something visual. So when they render it, they're very loose in applying HTML standards. So we're used to programming languages, Java, very strict with syntax rules. So if you make a syntax error in Java, no bueno. It stops and says fix the syntax error, and otherwise you get no results whatsoever. HTML is not that way. HTML is very forgiving on syntax, as we'll see. Maybe too forgiving. Being forgiving in terms of what a programming language does. HTML is a tag language, but being forgiving makes it easier for beginners, but it also creates ambiguity. And ambiguity is something that web front-end developers have fought their entire careers. Things are getting better with that, but not entirely so, because HTML is very forgiving. I'll type in this and hit, let me get this right. So I hit this, it pops up, and I can hit enter right away, and it'll complete my tags. I just need to surround my hello text with those tags. And we'll see it renders slightly differently in the browser. You can see that that paragraph tag gave it a little bit of space. I'll modify this text a little bit. Hit Control S again, save the text, and you can see Browser Sync is doing its job. We have Hello World. I'll add some more white space here. So you can see white space is a single separator in HTML. Once you have that single separator, further separators do nothing. So you can't use white space in the text file to affect the formatting, other than a single space, the formatting of the resulting HTML document. It's all about marking it up with getting the structure of your document correct and the look of it correct is all a matter of the correct tags in the HTML, and white space has only a single separator as meaning. Further white space characters do nothing. I'm going to add some more text without paragraph tags here. I'll copy these. And we can see that's all one thing here. Now I'm going to surround these with paragraph tags. Okay, so I could do it the way I did it before, but I've actually taught Visual Studio Code a keyboard shortcut, and I will teach you how to do that right away because this is useful. I'm going to select the Hello World text. Now, Visual Studio Code highlights all the Hello World text, but I've only selected the Hello World text that's on line 11. I'll hit Control-Shift-9, and I get this popping up, and it says enter abbreviation. This is an emit feature. They call it abbreviation for some reason instead of tag. I'll enter the tag I want and hit enter, and it surrounds it. Very nice. Let me show you how I've done that. So this is customizing a Visual Studio keyboard shortcut. So if I hit Control-Shift-P, this is the command window of Visual Studio. And I can type in emit here, and then wrap with abbreviation. And that's the function we've used. Then I can enter in the abbreviation, and it'll generate one for me. The only thing I did to help me with that is I associated a keyboard shortcut with it, Control-Shift-9. And that only comes into play if there's highlighted text. So I highlight some text, hit Control-Shift-9, and Control-Shift-0, Control-Shift-9, emit pops up. I can now tag it easily. So to modify Visual Studio Code, to do this, go to Edit, Preferences, Keyboard Shortcuts. Then, these are the keyboard shortcuts that it knows about. This is pretty much, the one I added is in here, but these are the keyboard shortcuts that come out of the box. So you can learn about more keyboard shortcuts here. There's tons of them, more than I know. But open keyboard shortcuts in the JSON. And this is a script file where you can add keyboard shortcuts. Here's my Control-Shift-F9. So what you'll see in your text editor is, unless you've added a keyboard shortcut, is empty brackets. Leave those brackets there. It's essentially a JavaScript array. So leave the empty brackets, and this is an element in the array that will be one keyboard shortcut. Braces here. Then in quotes key is Control-Shift-F9. These two elements are both in quotes. The command is emit editor.emit.action.wrapper with abbreviation. We saw that. And then when, the criteria for this, when this will pop up when the editor has a selection. So keyboard shortcut to wrap text in any type of tag that you need it to be wrapped in. And do that, and you'll find it very valuable to you. Let's go back. We'll close this, and we'll go back to our text now. And I will continue to mark up my text with Control-Shift-F9, and you can see how manually wrapping existing text with tags would drive you nuts if you have a lot to do, and you will. I actually hit Control-Shift-P there, and there we go. And you can see how now we've wrapped these in paragraph texts, and we've indeed created different paragraphs separating them over there. All right, so that's our introduction to HTML and how tags work and how elements are defined in HTML, plus some modification to Visual Studio Code to make it work much better for us.